How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? We're now going to talk about power, usurpation, and politics. Simple. All right. So basically, once again, we're talking about Tempest versus Hag-Seed, the textual links and connections and conversation between the two of them. For this unit, you do need to place a little context in your essays. So certainly mentioning Machiavelli and the Prince. The idea that Italy was in constant chaos, and we all know that Queen Elizabeth continuously undermined and had her authority questioned right up to her death. There was questioning about the succession. The succession's the word you want to get in there. Cool. All right, so in terms of Prospero in the Tempest, basically he tells us why he was usurped, but he also tells us that he didn't quite keep his eye on the ball, and he was so wrapped up in what he was doing that he lost sight of the bigger picture. And the same thing happens with Felix, okay? And that's a really great link, all right? So we've got the metaphor here, the idea that he's wrapped in his secret studies and he's transported, he wasn't paying attention. And I, dedicated to closeness and to bettering of my mind. So this reflection on himself. The idea that when he was usurped, what happened? We have a treacherous army levied one midnight, fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan. All right, so either you use a treacherous army levied or Antonio opened the gates of Milan, the idea of this imagery here. The boat they were put on to get them to the island highlights how they were treated and the fact that they didn't really want anything good to happen to them. A rotten carcass of a butt, not rigged, nor tackle, sail, nor mast. So you've got the listing there, or you've got the idea of a carcass of a butt, so that's metaphor, or even just the idea the rats instinctively had quit it. Okay, if rats aren't even going to be on your boat, it's pretty poor. In terms of Felix, like Prospero, he certainly understands that he didn't quite have his eye on the prize. He may on occasion have taken things too far, to be fair, more than on occasion. All right, so in terms of his perfection of the arts, much like Prospero with the perfection of his art, all right, motivated by the fact that he couldn't let go of Miranda, even though she'd passed. Didn't the best art have desperation at its core, this idea for him? All right, so imprisoned by his grief, all right, rather than Prospero with his physical imprisonment on the island. His only excuse was that he'd been distracted by grief at the time, so the descriptive language there, and we have the idea that, that quote could actually be used for both ideas, and how he saw his initial willing to put on the Tempest itself. It was like the Taj Mahal, an ornate mausoleum, all right. The simile there, like the Taj Mahal. His Miranda would live again, high modality language. Both of these quotes here are all about the idea that the Tempest was his way of coming to terms with his grief and hopefully, allowing him to memorialize her and finally let her go. He needed that to happen. But yeah, in the end, he gets fired. So we have the secrecy, the sabotage, the snake-like subterfuge, the stupendous betrayal. All those S's there that I was saying and struggling with, that's the sibilance, which makes it stick out. Ejected, tumble out, discarded, he felt numb all over. These truncated sentences and exclamations, which highlight that idea that he couldn't believe that he got fired, even though he knew that he really wasn't paying attention because of his grief. In terms of then going into exile, rather than Prospero, who was sort of shunted into exile and forced into it, Felix was self-imposed. He could remain invisible to the world at large. It didn't take Felix long to discover it was easy to disappear. And then we have this idea of intertextuality. Break out of your cell, you need a real-world connection. So basically, after about 9 years, he decides he needs to go and get a job. And he needs a real-world connection because he started really talking to his Miranda a little bit too much. And that's that one.